Imagine being the protagonist of every interaction, every achievement, and every downfall. It sounds crazy, but think about it. Each and every one of us is living their separate life, watching their own story unfold right before their eyes, while being a side character in others'. So we each get a unique identity, specifically tailored to all of our past experiences and choices. My talk is about how improper communication creates a divide between humans. We humans protect our material and ideas like a mother protects her child. And sometimes we can be terribly sensitive to criticism. In reality, though, only open-minded conversations can help build the genuine relationships that we need. And that can hardly be done with an unchecked ego. This is why the world has become more divided than ever, why everyone seems so judgmental of other opinions, and why we are so selective about sharing our own. At the age of 12, my family and I were forced to relocate back to Lebanon. I'd lived most of my life in Qatar, where I befriended many people from various nationalities, and so I thought making friends wouldn't be that hard. Well, I was mistaken. My first couple of months were disappointing, as I quickly noticed that everyone had their own biased opinions and strongly opposed being proven wrong. This is ego in action. It's the narrative your brain constructs about itself. Ego loves to perform, but usually at the cost of lying. At this point, I had noticed that the sudden shift in my environment actually helped me mask out what made the new one more challenging to navigate. The opportunity of conversating was used differently. In basic terms, humans got to the top of the food chain by sharing information and resources. But an untamed ego will poison this connection by making you talk about how it sees things instead. That's almost always far from the truth, and letting it dominate your thoughts is harmful. Many people make decisions out of emotions, but rather we should be making decisions based on all the clues. Now, what our bodies are feeling, aka emotions, are only one of the many clues. So on this quest of making better decisions, I came across what is called the Johari window. The Johari window is a psychological model that helps describe different ways of communicating. It describes how openness in communication increases only when both parties are aware of the different people, relationships, and circumstances all around us. So to give a brief description, this is each and every one of you's personality traits. These are the individual's personality traits subdivided into 4 quadrants. What you know about yourself that others also know about you, the open quadrant. What you know about yourself that no one else knows about you. What others know about you that you do not know about yourself, and what no one knows about you. Now this last one is the extreme case, such as how you would react if you were held at gunpoint. Now, by being able to receive feedback, I am able to gain insight into how people see me and my actions. At the same time, by being unique, I give others the opportunity to gain knowledge about me. Now, according to the theory, a larger open quadrant means you are less likely to be misunderstood or have your actions or statements interpreted incorrectly. Now, unfortunately, that's as far as we can go, as communication is dependent on the recipient. Once the recipient has filtered the message through their frame of reference, prejudice, and experiences, what remains is what they understand, regardless of what you actually meant. So then, what is the best course of action in communication? Just listen. They will tell you everything you need to know. Listen without generating an answer in your head. Once the other is done speaking, you can then formulate your thoughts in a speech. I mean, this makes sense. You never see soldiers on the battlefield screaming over each other on the radio, not before they hear the call, over. Because if you're trying to speak, you're no longer listening. You're all great listeners now, But in any other setting, I never would have made it this far uninterrupted. This is normal. We love talking, especially about ourselves. It's our way of getting approval. Having learned this, I tried taking the camera off of me and directing it outwards. My life was no longer about me, it was about everything and everybody else. Here's what I found. Well, bragging might enhance the image you wish to portray, but it will hide the real you with an illusion of success, as our brains fail to differentiate between talk and action. We are misguided by our brains to believe that promoting ourselves in a good way will only make people respect us more. But ironically, it's often the other way around. So if you don't control, manage, and maintain your own mind, someone else might. Anyone wise and flattery enough to make you feel so good about yourself. That's powerful. Now, I want to move on to another story of a research paper I read a while ago. This research paper was about patients who couldn't process emotions. It's called alexithymia. Now, it revealed that without these emotions, those patients weren't cold, rational superhumans. They were lost, incapable of making decisions for themselves. Meaning emotions are critical for making life decisions. Even for men, especially for men, because it is the very glue that binds collective reason together, guiding our rational brains through the murky waters of life's countless choices. And yet, schools are still sorting students by standardized tests that measure brain power, but they ignore the rich and emotional landscapes that shape the complex decisions we make. There's a clear flaw in this approach, in that it fails to capture a full image of who we really are. Our imperfections might be weaknesses, but they are what make us unique amongst 8 billion other humans. Finally, I want to end with a story. A few years ago, I started writing and producing music. What better place to share my music than on social media? Over time, I started noticing that in real-life interactions, many people spoke to me as if that's all I did. Now, this wasn't very surprising, as it was the only content I would post about. But why was this really happening? Well, it's because social media is the perfect platform to showcase an appealing, polished version of yourself, one free from the imperfections that actually make you unique. It's a playground for self-promotion. Anyone can just hop on, not even use their real name, and share only the cool things about their lives and no more, feeding ego's desire for approval. That's why so many people post about their happiest moments. Not to remember them, it's the job of your photo gallery, but rather to project an idealized version of who they want to be. I mean, we rarely see people post among their failures or their low points. There's a clear flaw in seeing people that way, and that it fails to capture a full image of who we truly are. Again, our imperfections might be weaknesses, but they are what make us unique amongst billions of other humans. So then what can you actually leave with? What can you do in practice? Well, as humans are social creatures, we flourish on healthy relationships with other fellow humans. So my tip to you is to approach each interaction with genuine curiosity. Actively listen without judgment and embrace feedback as a path to self-improvement. And in doing so, you will eventually realize that your ego has been telling you to do quite the opposite this whole time. It has been telling you to change constantly. It has been limiting the growth of your open quadrant. And that's the trick. That's how true growth arises. From being curious, not judgmental, about everything. And when you're curious about your truest self, then so you will be. Thank you.